video that you're about to watch is my first ray gun. I may never have even attempted such a thing if it weren't for the creative freedom I was given at the Renaissance Festival. Blowing glass at the Renaissance Festival is kind of a unique experience because there's an audience involved. Not only am I creating art, I'm also performing for a live audience. So there's a lot of explaining involved. Like, for example, what am I doing right now? Oh, I'm going for a flash. This is called a flash. So I'm flashing the glass to make sure that it's hot and bringing it back up to temperature. And the piece of equipment that I'm using is called the glory hole. And generally when I say glory hole to a crowd full of people, I get a lot of laughter. Some people think that the word glory hole is funny. I don't get why. And I'm using diamonds to kind of stretch out the shape that I'm creating while Jake, my assistant, is inflating the bubble from the other end of the pipe. Like you can see him right now waiting for me to say blow. There it is, blow. While I use the jacks to create a neckline at the top of the piece between the massive glass and the pipe, so that way when I'm done with the piece, I can break it off cleanly and evenly and not hurt the ray gun, what will eventually be a ray gun. Blowing glass is very team-oriented. It's difficult, if not impossible, to create these works solo. Like, I would never be able to make this ray gun without an assistant, Jake, helping me out. Maybe I could do the bench blowing myself, but bringing bits solo is very difficult. And you'll see as soon as I'm done putting the neckline in. But first he's gonna bring me a Maurice, which is just a little hot gather, not shaped at all. And we're gonna apply that to the front of the weapon just like that, so I can create the muzzle of the gun. And after a quick flash, I'll have Jake paddle the bottom while I shape the sides with the jacks. Something that you can't do alone. You simply don't have enough hands to jack the sides and paddle the bottom. So we have to be communicating the whole time and talking to each other. I have to tell him what I want, and he has to ask me what I want, what shape, what size, what color, all those things. So now Jake has a bit of lime green, and I'm just kind of smearing it on the top and cutting it at just the right angle, so that way I can create kind of like a tail on the top of the gun. It's gonna have 3 of these to make it look really outer spacey and awesome. Think Marvin the Martian, that sort of thing. And it's really important that Jake, as my assistant, is bringing bits consistently. Like, I need 3 of these tails to complete the gun. And if one is bigger than the other one, it's not gonna lay down the same way and the tails will be uneven. So, you know, even though I'm the gaffer, it's really important to have good communication with your assistant, so that way, and that'll ensure the success of the piece. And Jake was a really good assistant. All his bits were consistent, they were all the same size, and I think they turned out really nicely, evenly spaced even. Just tweaking them a little with the tweezers, making sure that they're laid down exactly the way I want them. Get those tails curled just so. Flattening it with the tweezers. It helps to have the optics on a project like this because I can use those optics as a guide of where to lay the bits down so that they can be perfectly evenly spaced, which is nice. So right now what you're seeing is Jake making the handle. I came over to check and make sure that he's, you know, doing it the way that I want it. Is it gonna be the right size? He's looking at my piece, I'm looking at his piece. We need to make sure that the handle's not too big, not too small. He heats it up, and I just smash it right on there. Paying really close attention that it's evenly spaced with those tails on the top. I wanna make sure that it's right underneath the middle tail so I don't have a lopsided weapon on my hands over here. So now that the handle's on, it's really starting to look like a ray gun, what it's supposed to look like. I'm just fire polishing the bottom so it's not sharp. There's gonna be a little patty on there too for added comfort when you're gripping it. It's looking like a ray gun. Here comes the trigger. We're putting on the trigger. So a strategic cut on an angle so you can see that point is already there. Stretching it out a little. Going for my graphite so I can kind of round that out and also stick the middle of it to the handle of the gun so that way it's more stable. There we go, rounding it out more. That's a graphite rod you're looking at. So I'm making a space for the finger to go. And Jake's just torching the tip of it to make sure that the cut mark is melted away, because when you cut glass, even if it's really, really hot glass, you're still gonna be left with razor sharp edges. So just a little fire polishing with the torch will take care of that really quickly. And then he opened the door to the glory hole for me. You can see on the right side, the door is open so that I have the most space. The handle kind of makes this gun awkward, and it doesn't fit in that small hole as easily, especially now that we're adding even more length to it. The trigger is hotter than the rest of the piece right now, so by flashing it a few times in and out of the glory hole, in for 3 seconds, out for a few seconds, back in for 3 seconds, we're gonna make sure that all the pieces on the weapon are all the same temperature. Blowing glass at the Renaissance Festival is a little different than blowing glass in, you know, your regular production hot shop studio because there is an audience in front of you. The Royal Glassmakers have benches and benches, you know, like bleachers that are filled every weekend at the Renaissance Festival. So not only do I have to be completely focused on my art, I also have to be focused on the audience and making sure that they have a good time and answering any questions that they may have regarding, you know, the process or what I'm doing.